Good morning, Australia.
Good morning, Texas, and good morning to the
Good,
west coast of Scotland.
good evening. It's evening there,
Oh,
Chris.
good evening.
Yes,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
it's
Here I
the
am thinking everyone just woke up.
Oh, we have Carolyn Aiken with us again. This is her second interview on Iridology around the world. We are
Yeah.
really excited to have you back, Carolyn.
Oh, thank
And
you. So nice to
Carolyn was
be
our second, she was our second interviewee, and
Yes,
now she's
here.
back.
yes.
So
When we
exciting.
started this madness, she was the second one. That's great.
And you've done
Yeah.
so many around the world. It was a dream to start. And then
Oh,
look where you are now.
oh, well, you know what?
Exactly.
We do have a
Amazing.
lot of followers. That's really, really good for us because we're
Amazing.
getting that word about Iridology out there around the world, literally.
Yeah.
Well,
As
Carolyn,
the sign says.
right. Carolyn, tell us what you've been doing since we last saw you. Just get us caught up on everything that's going on.
Yes. So I've been looking into glaucoma. As I am an optician, I am always looking at eyes every single day of my life. If it's not as an optician, as an iridologist. And I've seen where I work a lot of elderly people coming to the practice and many people with glaucoma. At one point, I started looking at the iris, is not just at the clinical side of it, as an optician, but as an iridologist in secrecy, looking at them without telling them that I'm looking at the iris. And I noticed after a year, the same characteristics coming back, the same feature, the same iridology markings. So I decided to really dive into it and start studying that as an iridologist. So I contacted the Guild of Iridologists in London, and the vice president is very happy about the work. Potentially a new sign. So he's very encouraging me to carry on and to write about it. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. It's quite hard to get enough patients because as an iridologist, I'm not allowed the place I work as an optician to mention that I'm doing that. So it's not part of the same thing. So it's quite hard to see patients with glaucoma as an iridologist. So most of them are elderly. If you mention that if it can be participants or mention volunteering, oh, they're not so much up for it. So it's been quite hard to recruit people to have a look at
Mhm.
it and take photographs and all that. I've got a few, but probably not enough for the study as they wanted. I don't know if they 100 eyes, I don't know how many. So I need to see that. But the ones I've seen, all of them have those markings. So I'm very
Wow,
positive.
that's
I'm
exciting.
100% sure, but you need a vast amount of clients, patients to see that.
Mhm.
That's so
So that's what I've
exciting.
been doing. Yes, it's really
And are
great.
you going to present this information to the guild at the symposium or?
I could do if I finish it. But
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, I pass. Well, once it's done and out there, yes. Um,
I'm actually going to be there next October. I'm so excited. I
ah,
hope to see you there.
oh, yes. It's always around the 20th, isn't it? So it's my birthday, and we're always doing something, but I try to come.
No, I think it's around the 12th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not here this time.
Well,
Okay, that's fine.
yeah.
Yeah,
And what
yeah.
Yeah.
month
Okay.
would that be?
Sorry, say it again.
Goodness
October
knows me
was
if
did
this.
October. Yeah.
October. Okay, very good. Very good. That
Yeah.
is really exciting about glaucoma research
Yes.
through the
Mm,
eyes of an optician, of course, but
Uh-huh.
more importantly, an iridologist, that you're
Yeah.
seeing the same repeat signs over and over. So
Yes.
I know that IPA would love to know more about that in your research and either through webinars or what have you.
yeah.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
The
That's
only
cool.
way, the only thing I find it a bit difficult is conveying the idea that the iris can show signs is quite hard in the UK since
Yeah.
the ophthalmologists and the medical practices they don't recognize iridology. So it's it's been quite hard in that way. So I'm hoping that I'm wording it in the right way, that I'm proceeding, the pages before that, explaining that iridology can show something.
Mm, mm.
So that's been the challenge, I think, most of it. And in my head is more like the rejection. I keep thinking, well, if I say this, there's no way they're gonna accept that. Or if I, my paragraph, I read it again, I'm like, oh, that's gonna sound bad. So I have to think of the way of just conveying that idea. But as an iridologist, I'm more than happy. So when I speak
awesome.
to John, if I speak to John, we just in 2 seconds, he understands exactly what I mean. So an iridologist will have that keen eye to discern the pigments or whatever, that for another person who's not been looking at the iris, it'll be too subtle. It'll be like, oh, that's not, for us, it's a big thing when we see something.
Absolutely.
So
That's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for you.
that's what I've been working on. That's what I've been
Very
working
good.
on.
Very good.
And Carolyn, have you attended any iridology symposiums or conferences or webinars that you'd like to chat about?
The last one, it was, yes, was a webinar online, but I've been to a symposium last year in London. The last webinar I've done is about pigments from John Andrews. Very, very interesting.
Awesome. Yes.
So,
Yeah, he just spoke at the IPA symposium, which was awesome.
oh yes. Oh, he probably did the same one. What did he do on the iPad? Was it the same?
Again, some of the pigment signs and other
Yes,
signs.
I
Yeah.
think it must have been the same one, because it was not long after that the iPad was coming on. I was traveling on my son's birthday, so I didn't attend the iPad one. But I knew that he was talking about that. Very interesting. I mean, it's always interesting.
Oh,
And
he's a
so
great
long.
speaker.
His
Yeah.
webinars are long, and it's amazing. We always run out of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the interesting one. I've not done any other. I've done things myself, but I'm not iridology wise.
Have you presented any lectures or teachings?
Oh, I do that all the time.
You do that all the time.
So I've been doing that for years now. Twice a month where I work, I invite people for free. They can attend an iridology workshop, and I will go through the basics, mainly, blue, brown, what are the tendencies. And there's not much, I mean, in 1 hour you can't really do much, but I do ask if somebody wants to present their eyes. They all want to show me. And we select one, and if they're happy to discuss their health issues, then I put it on the screen and we can go through certain things. But I don't go much into depth, because it's quite difficult, if you don't know everything about the patient. So I just do the classical ones if there is an arcus or heterochromia, something that is evident that everybody can see. Yes.
What a great thing to do. Is that in your Iridology Scotland community?
I do it where I work, so it'll be for people in Scotland or nearby. So I announce it on Facebook. I have some mailing lists for things happening in Scotland.
Fantastic.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't have many participants every month. It's like 4 or 5 every time. It's 2 days. It's Thursday evening and Friday morning every month.
Great.
Well, at the end of the month. So it's nice. I get them to draw their iris. And it's quite interesting for me to see that, because while I'm importing the photographs on the computer, the people are drawing their iris, and some people are so creative, you can see straight away, you can see the traits, the one that does just a circle, and the other one that spends time doing all the lacuna and everything and coloring in. And for me, what is interesting is that they usually draw what their issues are, if you want, or what their tendencies or what they've always had.
Isn't it interesting?
It's so interesting. It's so interesting. So it's just to show that we know what we are, what we inherited or what the tendencies are. It's sometimes a little bit difficult for people to admit. They just like somebody else to point out or to tell them. That's how it works, I think.
Wow. And Carolyn, have you got any interesting eyes that you'd like to discuss with us?
Yeah, I've got a photograph. I'll send it to you there. If you want to
Shall I open the share?
Yes, can.
Yeah, great. Here we go.
Really
Those are beautiful.
fantastic.
Aren't they lovely eyes?
Yeah, lymphatic, 100%. Do you see on the sclera? The sclera is pretty white. However, you see a little bit on the top, those little vessels, very tiny vessels, reaching towards the top of the iris, the superior part of the iris there.
Yeah.
So my question was if this has to do with blood pressure, imbalances in the blood pressure. Doesn't have to be high pressure, could be low pressure, but something in the imbalance of the blood pressure. Most of the times when we see this, we mention migraine net or headaches or something, but
Mm.
I found that it's more to do with the blood pressure to the head.
How interesting. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, I often know them as migraine nets and headache signs as well. What about you, Kathy?
Yes, same. I'm just so busy just going all over this eye as fast as I can that I see some other signs that stick out that could possibly be related to blood pressure. But go ahead and finish your thoughts on that, Carolyn, and then we'll go back to what I saw.
Yeah. So of course there is cardiovascular issues there, some heart weakness as the lacuna is there. But what I see on that one as well is a little bit of melancholic tendency, more of a moody depression or something. It has to do with the heart, and that area is darker. That's what I wanted to show. But especially because there's no other signs of the heart. The heart is quite whitish and probably is too bleached on the photograph, but there are no cardiovascular or heart vessels on the sclera, but it's mainly the blood pressure on the head or more congestion, not cholesterol as such, but it's still quite congested there, isn't it? The eye doesn't look circular, it's squashed.
Mm.
You've got this bulging on both eyes.
Yeah, like a B3 bulge. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I see is they're beautiful heart flower right at 3 o'clock here. It's
Yeah.
coupled with that, like it's amazing.
Yes.
And that's the biggest flower in this whole iris.
Yes, it's the only petal there. Yeah. The fact that there's so many white fibers towards the head as well, isn't it? That could be a little bit of high blood pressure.
Mm.
But
Hmm.
I have a tendency to think it's probably the opposite. I'm not sure. To me, it's
Yeah.
imbalances. I'm not too sure. What else to know? Yes, the B3. This person is a vegan. I have mentioned diet, of course, but is very reluctant to add any animal protein to her diet ever again. So it's going to be hard to compensate all the vitamin deficiencies that she's missing out on, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's everybody's a bit different, isn't it?
That's right.
One of the things that is jumping out at me on these eyes, Chris, if you'll move to the sclera on the left eye about 8:30 on at the limbus,
Yeah.
come down about 8:30, come down just a little bit. There, there's a tiny, tiny little sclera movement right there, just a tiny, tiny little vessel. And if you'll look at the right eye between 3 and 4, about the 3:30 area.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That shows up in my research that I've been working on with the cranial nerves. That shows up in about C1 and C2. And when you get the adjustment of C1 and C2, get it in alignment, blood pressure eases. We know that the blood pressure and the medulla are connected. So most of the time, I'm going to go directly to the medulla and take a look at that area. I'm going to look at ego pressure in the top part of the brain area in the brain flare. But when I put my cranial nerve program together, the subtlety of the sclera vessels in that location, in that 8:30 location, in that 3:30 location, if you look further into the iris itself, you see an opening. You see an opening very, very close, and openings and separation of fibers in
Yeah.
that area of the spine. So I've had this happen hundreds of times. It just keeps popping up when I'm
Excellent.
looking for that particular area of the cranial nerves. And that is another way of looking at blood pressure.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Mm.
That's very interesting
Mm.
because it's so tiny, but you've seen it because you've seen it before. And this is what iridology is all about. When people have experience,
That's right.
just makes such a difference.
I have trained my eye now to see that subtle vessel. And I mean, every time it seems to be spot on.
Mm.
Okay.
And it's amazing how we can train our eyes to see such subtleties, like the glaucoma
Yes.
research and the cranial research. It's amazing.
Yes. And again, if you mention that to someone who's not an iridologist, they're going to say, well, there's little vessels everywhere. You know, it's not, nothing to do with that. It's allergies. It's something else.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
once you know, you know.
And the subtlety of the vessels can mean, it's not going to take much to get this body back in alignment or get this body retuned or get those systems back in order. The brighter those vessels are, the thicker those vessels are, we've got another situation we've got to work with. So these eyes, even though they're so subtle and the markings all over, is beautiful. It's just a beautiful eye.
Nice,
to look
lovely.
at. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, that's very interesting. Okay.
Thank you,
yeah.
guys. That was lovely.
Oh, I love that.
I'll just
We should do
unshare.
that all the time.
We should. That's a really good thing to do.
Oh, Carolyn, it's been awesome catching up with you. We've wondered what in the world's going on. We've taken a little sabbatical. It's time to get back in the swing of things and get to rolling because iridology around the world is making headway.
Yes. Amazing, huh? That's so cool.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us again today.
Ah, you're welcome.
Yes,
It's a
Carolyn, we
pleasure.
wish you all the best and just keep doing what you're doing because you are changing lives out there. We do appreciate that.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
And
you.
I hope to catch you live in October sometime.
Yes, we need to meet. We need to meet. Definitely.
We will. We will.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.